Adelaide, can you put the pumpkin over there, please? And have you seen Ophidius? Just because he's a ghost doesn't mean he doesn't have to help. Oh, hi! I didn't see you over there. Welcome to a new episode of Kianuka's Fantasy Library. Can you feel it? It's finally here. The time of the year when ghosts are present, witches strive through the night, and everybody is ready for a little fright. Time to see those creative and beautiful costumes again. Time to be who you want to be, even if it's just for one night. Time for tricks and treats. Time for some apple bubbling and for some candy corn. By the way, how does candy corn taste? It's not really easy to get when you're not in the US, and I'm damn curious. However, time for a fun night of Halloween. As you can see, we are already in our preparations. But do you know why we celebrate Halloween? And how the whole trick-and-treating part started back in the day? Well, let me take you a little bit back in time, and let's discover the origins of this spooky tradition. Ready? Let's go! To find the roots of this festival, we have to go back to good old Ireland, nearly 2,000 years ago, to a festival called Samhain. But what was Samhain? Or what is Samhain? Well, let's see. The word Samhain originates from the Gaelic language, and you might think it's a special word for a special day. But actually, Samhain is the Gaelic word for November. Like Halloween, Samhain is held on the night to the 1st of November. And since the people in old times just differentiated between two seasons, the summer and the winter season, it was held as a celebration of the end of summer and the start of winter. On this day, the harvest season officially ended and a new year was about to begin. It was also a celebration of the growing darkness due to the winter season, and a celebration to honor the dead. Animals were sacrificed, and the year's harvest was prepared in hope to last the winter. On this day, it was said that the curtain between this world and the other worlds, especially the world of the dead, becomes the thinnest it can be. So the Druids built bonfires to honor the dead and protect the living from whatever may come through. But over the years, as the church became more powerful, they were not happy with these pagan rites and tried to end them. In 837, they made Samhain, or in this case the 1st of November, to All Hallows, and later, in the 1600s, the last day of October became All Hallows Evening, which gradually evolved to the word Halloween. So now you know why we celebrate on this very day. But where did the whole trick-and-treating and costume part came in? Well, there are two theories where those rituals could originate from. For the first theory, we have to go back to the part where the curtain between the worlds became the thinnest. People back in the time feared that ghosts, demons, and evil spirits, and for Mori, so-called fairy folk, could cross the borders between the worlds on this day. They believed that those spirits might come to consume the living, and steal their children, and exchange them for changelings. And so they may have put food on their doorsteps to keep the spirits away, and wore masks to confuse them and stay safe. Another theory, however, points back to the church and to Britain as the origin of today's Halloween traditions. According to this, it all started in the Middle Ages with a tradition called souling. Souling was held a day before All Hallows. The poor and needy went singing from house to house, begging for so-called soul cakes. Soul cakes were small round cakes spiced with cinnamon and ginger and filled with raisins. Originally, they were made to honor the dead. And in return for getting those soul cakes, the beggars promised to pray for the deceased of that house. But why would they do this? Well, you have to know that back in the day it was believed that if enough prayers were spoken for a soul, this soul could be freed from purgatory. Those salt cakes are also known as hard cakes, mainly in Lancashire in the northeast of Britain. A little bit later, souling evolved to so-called guising. Young people dressed up in various costumes went around from door to door and accepted offerings. But they didn't do this in exchange for prayers anymore. Instead, they would tell a joke, sing a song, or probably recite a poem. And this they called the trick. So trick-and-treating back then was treats in form of fruits, nuts, or coins in exchange for a trick, a piece of art in a way. A quite similar tradition later evolved around the 5th of November, the Guy Fawkes Day. Back in 1605, Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the English Parliament building, including the king and everybody else inside it. A year later, on the night of the 5th of November 1606, he was executed for this and instantly became a folk hero. People who were sympathetic to his cause, as well as those who opposed him, began celebrating Guy Fawkes Day. Those celebrations also included bonfires and children in costumes, even though those were mostly Guy Fawkes costumes. The kids were known to wander around and begging for coins in Fawkes' name, with the words, "A penny for the Guy, please." And all of those traditions, souling, guising, and the Guy Fawkes Day celebrations, ultimately made their way to America. In the 19th century, Scottish immigrants and Irish immigrants who fled the Irish famine brought all of those traditions with them. They revived those traditions and created what became trick or treat in the modern sense, even though you should note that in the beginning it was more tricking than treating. The tricking became so bad that it reached the level of vandalism in the 1930s. The treats were used as bribes to stop the vandalism. And obviously, it worked. Nowadays, you can find similar festivals all over Europe, in the form of the Day of the Dead, the Días de los Muertos in Mexico. So this is how Halloween came to be. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's one of my favorite festivals of the year. I can't wait to dress up this year. If you still need a few tips on how to celebrate Halloween in 2020, take a look at my blog, where you find film tips, music tips, and fun activities you can do, even in 2020. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to get noticed when new videos come out. Have a great spooky happy Halloween. See you next time. Bye!